There are many things that distinguish a great photo from just an average snapshot. There are so many compositional things to consider when you're taking a photo. And one of the most important compositional tools, I think, is to fill the frame. Now, have you ever been to a lookout? You're on vacation and there's this beautiful vista in front of you, maybe a valley and some mountains, and you take out your camera, maybe it's on a wide angle setting, or maybe you take out your phone and you take the shot. And then you look at it and you think, oh, this doesn't really translate that well. I'm not that impressed. Well, there could be a lot of things going wrong there. But one of the things that may be happening with that kind of shot, or any kind of shot, is that you're not filling the frame. Now, when I say filling the frame, I don't necessarily mean stuffing everything you can into the frame and then automatically it's a great shot. I don't mean that at all. Although, moving in closer to something and filling the frame that way may work. And we're going to take a look at that in a moment, as well as some other techniques to make sure that you're filling the frame. Now, what I actually mean by filling the frame is making sure that everything that's in the frame is there for a reason. In other words, anything that's extraneous, anything that's not adding something good to your photo really shouldn't be there. So you have to have an acute awareness when you're taking your shot of what is in the frame. And we're going to take a look at that on Neighborhood Photographer.
There are three really easy ways to fill the frame. 1, physically move closer. 2, zoom your lens to a longer focal length. Or 3, crop your image during post-processing.
So today on Visual Art Photography Tutorials, we're concentrating on a really important compositional tool called filling the frame. And in doing so, I think that if you don't do this already, it's going to make a huge difference in your photography. So let's take a look at some examples and how we can do it.
So for our first shot today, a gentleman with his two sons by the edge of the water. And I liked the shot exactly the way it was, but two things were bothering me. One, I wanted the wave to be a little bit bigger, so I waited for another wave to come in. And two, I thought that if I got in a little bit closer, and I liked the rocks on either side of this image, by the way. They to me were adding something to it, but I really wanted a little bit more impact. So I thought if I moved closer, which I did with my zoom lens, I would get something a little better with a little more impact filling the frame. And there it is. You still have those rocks a little bit on either side, on the right and the left, but to me, you have the bigger wave. More importantly, you've tightened things up a little bit and you've got what I think is more impact. Not bad, but I think that's improved. Here, nothing wrong with this shot, except that the sky was kind of plain. That's okay. Can't always have a dramatic sky. And it shows the landscape very nicely with the weathered buildings on the right-hand side. But I wanted something a little bit different. So I headed up the hill and I got this. Different. The frame has been filled. Your attention is definitely on the weathered wood, and you get a sense of what's going on because slightly out of focus on the left-hand side, you know that it's a bit of a fishing village. More impact, filling the frame. Here, now this was a pile of wood, all these logs, and when you step back, I didn't take a picture of it, but if I had shown you the whole environment, you would have seen this pile of logs, and in the background it just would have been messy and not nice. So I actually like this shot. The frame has been filled with all of these logs of wood. Now, if you take a look down at the lower left, you'll see these logs, and I thought, okay, I'll move in and concentrate on that. It didn't work. It really didn't. It was messy. There's a branch there. There's one of the logs is a bit out of focus. It just didn't have the impact of that filling the frame here. But I thought, you know something, maybe I'll move closer on this and fill the frame differently. And that to me is a little bit better. Now you have the texture and some grain and things like that. Lupins by the side of the road. Nothing wrong with that. You have some nice trees in the background. It's kind of framed that way. But to me, as pretty as this is, I'm not getting the impact that I really want. What did I do? I zoomed in with my lens and I filled the frame, and everything in there counted. St. John's Harbor in beautiful Newfoundland. Now, if you want a shot of the harbor, you want to show the whole harbor, absolutely nothing wrong with this. The road leading down is kind of nice too, but you've got the whole harbor, not a bad sky. It's a sunny day, not my preference for shooting, for doing photography, but you know, you're on vacation. You can't order the weather, so you do the best you can with it. But I wanted something with more impact. So I brought my zoom lens out to 200 millimeters, and that's what I got. And to me, that has more impact. Now, it doesn't show the whole harbor. If that's what you want to do, fine. But look at the color. Look at the color that you get with this. And they have all of these homes over there on the left-hand side. Well, actually, they're all the way through here. And they're known as jelly bean houses in St. John's. And they are just gorgeous. You walk the streets with all of this color around you, and it's really a special place. Beautiful city. If you've never been there before, St. John's, Newfoundland, Labrador. Filling the frame. You've seen the balloon festivals, maybe in Albuquerque, places like that. And I have shots. I didn't dig them out for this particular tutorial, but you know, they show all of the balloons. Maybe there's 50 balloons and they're all taking off, and it's quite impressive. But why not zoom in and fill the frame and just have a part of one balloon and then maybe something else in the background? Everything here counts. Filling the frame with corn. How about flowers? Fill the frame. Same thing here. Grasses by the side of a lake. It just does not get much more simple than that. Filling the frame. Now, this is a shot, and when you look at my photography, quite often I just exclude the sky. I just don't include it. Why? Because to me, if there's not something interesting going on in the sky, like with clouds or some kind of special weather, then I tend to leave it out, or at least leave most of it out. And I love clouds. I love the sky. But if it's not happening there, my reasoning is, why put it there? So I tend to fill the frame with what's interesting. And to me, what's interesting here is this dilapidated boardwalk. So I left the sky out. There was nothing going on there. It was a time of year where the trees actually in the background were just sticks. And it just didn't work. So I moved in, concentrated on the subject, which was the dilapidated boardwalk. And I filled the frame with it. This was a little bit different for me because it actually goes against all kinds of rules. You have this rock sticking out halfway through, a little over halfway through the frame, and then you have the flowing water and things like that. And I took other shots of it and from different angles, which I thought worked, but this one was a little bit different. It's not your run-of-the-mill typical stream shot. You know, this rock jutting right out in front of you, but there's nothing in here that's wasted. The frame is filled. Same here. Everything here counts. The reflection counts even more, actually, in some ways, than the actual homes that are above ground. But fill the frame. To the left and the right, there were things that just were very distracting. I thought this was a better composition, just moving in tight. Filling the frame here. Nothing going on in the sky. I thought, okay, I'll show the snow on the branches with a little bit of ice down below. Nice color. That's it. Simplicity. Here, it's time of day where it was kind of nice, the sky, so I thought I've got to put some of that in there. But the interest, again, was the snow on the plants. That's what I concentrated on. Filling the frame. Okay, nothing against the sky. I thought the sky, not too bad here. So I got down low, and there was these beautiful cliffs and the rock and the texture and the color and all that sort of thing. But the sky wasn't too bad either. The clouds were kind of working for me here. So I thought, I'm going to include a lot of sky, as they were kind of reaching in and bringing the viewer in with the way they were going kind of diagonally a little bit. So I included them, and I thought they worked well with this particular composition. But again, even though this is using a wide angle lens, I thought that the frame had been filled because everything that I wanted was in this shot. Wasn't an interesting sky here, so I excluded most of it. And I made sure there were the foreground, there was something there of interest, and the midground, and the background. Now here the sky was getting kind of interesting. A bit of a storm was kind of coming in, and I wanted to include that, but I didn't want all of it because it wasn't that great. But these black rocks up front were really a point of interest for me, and that big wave coming in was really a point of interest for me. And the sky was a point of interest, so I brought everything tight. And I got the rocks, I got the wave, and you know what's going on with the sky. You don't have to see more sky to know what's happening with that. Filling the frame, making sure that everything that you want is in there and things that you don't want are excluded.
A lot of things go into making a great photo. Filling the frame is one of those very, very important things to be aware of when you're doing your photography. Until next time, I'm Ray Scott, reminding you it's not what you see, it's how you see it. And I'll see you soon.